Welcome back to the Big Saturday Show. Now, in an effort to boost his approval rating, President Biden is pulling out all the stops, one of which was the celebration for Justice Jackson at the White House following her confirmation vote. But more notably was the appearance of former President Obama at the White House, which garnered resounding praise from Democrats who seem to pay more attention to Obama than to Biden. Now, the events appear to have given Biden a slight tick up. A new Reuters poll taken early this past week shows Biden at 50% disapproval, and Democrats are surprised by the declining support.
You do realize, Pete, a lot of black people feel like Democrats have kept no promises since they've been in office.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, boy, Raymond, I got to tell you. At first, it was Hillary Clinton who had hot sauce in her purse when she went on the Breakfast Club. And then it was Kamala Harris who was smoking weed to Tupac before Tupac had an album. And then, of course, Joe Biden saying if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. You know, all these Democrats really make the rounds with Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club. And it doesn't ever seem to go well. But I think this is another great one. You know, Pete is just shocked that black Americans, white Americans, brown Americans, you know, they're just not feeling like the Biden administration is helping them out much.
Well,
what do you think? Are you as surprised as Pete is?
Tommy, you've got to give Charlemagne the God credit for calling this out. Pete Buttigieg, it's like he's never met a black person or talked to anybody. Come to New Orleans. You can sit down and have some gumbo with us, and we'll tell you all about it. You know, if you talk to black Americans and you spend time with them, there's a good reason that Biden today, he went from 88% approval rating in the latest Marquette poll. He's down at 56% with African Americans. And that's because their big concerns are jobs, the inflation is devouring their income, and the gas prices. These are the taxes they're feeling directly, and they do blame Joe Biden for a lot of that. And for Pete Buttigieg to sit there and, really? They're concerned? They don't think we're fulfilling our promises? No, they don't, Pete. And part of that is your infrastructure bill that you forced through, where an entire the span of interstate in New Orleans, by the way, is going to be removed. It's costing us billions of dollars. They claim it's racial inequity because it cut a black community in half and cut it off from the city. But if you talk to the people who live in Treme, who live in that community, as I have, and interview them, they'll tell you, we want that to remain. We have parties under there. It's great for us. How do you think we get in and out of town? So the disconnect between elites in Washington and the people on the ground, even the base of the Democratic Party that they claim to serve, there's a huge disconnect here. And I fear, and they should be fearing, in the midterms, they're going to learn all about it.
Well, Raymond, I think you're right that the Democrats are losing support from their base because they're going for wokeism and this faux activism over actually helping the American people of all colors, by the way, because we all fill up our gas tank, we all go to the grocery store, we all deal with a supply chain crisis. That's just an American issue. But, you know, when they lose the black community or they lose the woke base, that's somewhat understandable. But when they lose the mainstream media, Julie, that's when the Democrats should be afraid. If the mainstream media is turning on them, boy, that's when you know midterms are going to be bad. But let's talk about this latest kerfluffle with Politico and the Biden White House. So in their West Wing playbook, you know, the White House team was unhappy, and we're seeing the headline there. The White House team was unhappy that Politico didn't highlight all those wonderful achievements in the Biden administration. And, you know, quite frankly, it's probably because they can't find them. But what do you think, Julie? Have we lost the mainstream media for the Democrats, too?
I think even the mainstream media is starting to scratch their heads like, wow, we really propped this guy up, and now we got to keep him propped up, and that job is becoming harder and harder every single day. As far as President Biden's disapproval ratings, bringing Obama to the White House is not going to fix that. Every time that this man has ever had a lull, let's say, on his campaign trail, he brings in Obama. Obama's supposed to be sort of like the magician that's going to make all of Biden's, I guess, downfalls disappear. Poof. First of all, I'm not even sure that Obama supports Biden. He doesn't even follow him on Twitter. He does follow former presidents George Bush and Bill Clinton. He even follows Kayleigh McEnany, but he doesn't follow Joe Biden. What does that tell you? And he also referred to the man as the vice president and not the president. So I'm not even sure Obama. I think Obama still thinks he's president, and Joe Biden still thinks he's vice president. I'm just hoping at some point he steps up to the plate and starts acting presidential.
Well, you know, Sean, the American people still love Barack Obama, which really flabbergasts me because he was also a horrible president who didn't deliver for the American people. But we are seeing a slight uptick for President Biden with his approval rating. So do we think that this visit by Obama, and do we think that all of the cleanup on aisle 5 by the White House team, do you think that that's actually going to help Joe Biden, or are they already throwing him under the bus and moving on to their next choice? Probably Hillary Clinton. Who knows, Sean?
So first off, I don't believe the poll numbers. Joe Biden is still down in the low 40s. I think that I did this before. You bring people in to endorse you. It never works. People look at you as a candidate, not former presidents or senators who endorse you. Here's the deal. People, listen, the border's an issue. Yes, wokeism in schools is an issue. Crime's an issue. But the number one issue for all Americans, and all my congressional buddies tell me this as they're on the ground, is inflation, to your point, Tommy. And what Joe Biden can do is don't bring in Obama. Do a summit with oil executives and say, what do you need so we can produce more oil in America and drop these prices? That's the first thing. The second thing is stop spending money, which is a fuel to inflation. Those two things, Joe Biden's going to be covered. Democrats are going to be covered, but they'll never do that because that goes against the very grain of their woke leftist politics.
Yeah, it's always much easier to virtue signal than actually have solutions for the American people, so no surprise there.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.